welcome to the Bold Black Girls Podcast. I'm Aries.
And I am Kim.
I don't know what episode we're in no more.
Ooh. We're past 10.
I think it's 12.
We made a milestone.
I know, we did.
So we're definitely past 10.
I feel like it's
11.
11? Yeah.
Oh, so the live. So we have.
No, it's 12. I don't know. Child.
It is 12.
Okay.
It is
I don't
12.
know, child.
Yep. So episode 11 aired last week.
Yes.
It was actually a recording of the Secure the Seat.
Yes.
Down
Minda
in
Hearts.
Dallas at the Riveter. Shout out to the Riveter for hosting us and having us.
That was so fun.
It was great. We had a great turnout.
We did.
First event.
It was packed.
It was.
I was like, okay.
And the energy was great.
It was. I mean, here's the thing. If you haven't gotten the book, you need to get it.
Yes.
Because I think the event, what it showed to me was that there are people who are really hurting, in the workplace. There are Black women that are looking for that support,
Yes.
And so I know you talk to a lot of people and I talk to a lot of people just from like, oh my God, like this is what we need. This is something that we want to continue to do. So that was encouraging just to know, when we started this podcast, it was just like, we knew that like our stuff needs to be talked about, but
Right.
to see like real people's faces, I think it makes a big difference.
And it just goes back to being courageous to talk about it, because I think a lot of Black women, we hold it in. We've held it in up until now.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed it.
I did too.
Yeah.
It was fun. My mom came.
Yes.
I was like, this was the first thing that I think my mom has come to.
I was scared to invite mine.
Next time we gotta bring Michelle.
I'll let her listen to it.
Okay, good.
But Kiara came.
Kiara was clutch. She was our little bold Black girl representative.
I mean, she just jumped in.
Yeah, we needed her. So
Miss Janet was definitely proud of her baby. She was on the front row like someone at a
with
church.
her fan.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yes,
child.
girl.
Yes.
I was sitting there like, so we're recording, and I'm looking, I see her right there, and she just, yes, mm-hmm, okay.
Yes.
I'm like, trying to stay focused, because I'm
Yes.
like, she is so, I want to say, somebody, get her. But yeah, that's just what it is. It was a good time.
Yeah, and shout out to all of our friends who came down to support us, and the ones who live up north, and one of my cousins came probably from Red Oak. We had a few come from Richardson, McKinney.
Yeah, and Minda, she was
came
just
to a tsunami.
She did. It was like, I don't know what that weather was doing in Houston, and she was super accommodating.
She was.
Some people can be real like extra. No, she was like, where do you need me to be?
Yeah.
What's that?
Very cool, calm, and collect.
Yep, so that was good. I'm looking forward to doing more stuff with her and whoever else. Like, I feel like we're now it was just like, okay, what's next? What are we, what else are we doing to really focus in on our stuff? Like, it's time for us to support each other.
And we did that with Tony Howard Lowe. She gave out a free
masterclass.
Yes.
Jacqueline Twilley was there.
Yes.
Author of Don't Leave Money on the Table. I was like, sisters is out here killing. Okay, what we not about to do is act like we're not gonna put some shine on it. So we had a bunch of positive energy in there. I had to take it to church a little bit.
You really did, and I really enjoyed that. Because it was a tough conversation.
Yeah.
While it was predominantly African American, right? Black women. We did have Sheila supporting us.
Sheila is so
amazing.
First of all, Sheila's awesome. She's one of those people who'll be like, she's a white woman, and she'll be like, what can I do, to help and everything. But not just saying that, she shows up like to stuff.
Action.
She does. Her actions show that she's really curious. She wants to know. Like, that's all we really are asking for. Don't discredit our feelings and what we're going through and make it like it's no big deal. Work harder, blah blah blah. Learn. This is all. I always say this every time we ever talk about this stuff. This is all about education. This podcast is even about education. It's about educating those who are not Black women on our needs. Things that we're going through that they might not even know. I mean, Kim and I are not experts. We're just Black women talking about our own experience, and a lot of us are experiencing the same stuff. So that's really all it is. And then helping each other.
Yes.
Because there's a lot, and I realize that too. A lot of us aren't doing a lot of the stuff, that we need to do as far as the networking, learning the politics and all the stuff that we just need to know to be able to navigate around here.
I agree.
And make it a little bit easier. Self-care, all that stuff. So
everything.
So we want to support each other in the process, and those who are, looking in, then they can learn something from what we're doing. And then I forgot about this part.
I was gonna say
the other podcasts, like community people that are not nothing attached to us, that were like supporting us, promoting the event, promoting our podcast. Just
on their pages.
It's like we don't have to do that.
We don't, but it's great to support, and even just like your friend Lauren.
Yes.
We had Lauren purchase 4 tickets to support. She couldn't be here physically. She's all the way in California.
Yes, and she was like, just gift it to whoever, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
And I had a couple of friends who purchased tickets and they weren't unable to physically make it. So just that support, it goes a long way, and we're greatly appreciative to it.
It does. I'm excited. I feel like we have built up so much to that.
We did.
And as you can see, we do have our Bold Black Girls t-shirt. We love these statement tees.
Oh.
So if you are a creator, feel free to hit us up so you can send us some, and we'll rock them for you.
Yes. I love a good statement t-shirt.
For real. So these will be available on our website. So stay tuned. Join the newsletter so when we launch it, you'll be able to go ahead and get you one. Minda rocked one. We gave Minda a shirt when she came.
Yes.
And she tagged us on her post where she went to record her podcast with some folks in Atlanta, and she wore it. So,
Women supporting women. I love it.
Exactly. We got to do that more. Because it's not taking anything away from you.
There is enough room for everyone.
It is. So,
all right.
Anyway.
Well, let's get into the podcast. All right. So, it is the end of September.
I know. We're at that. Some people had just started school at the beginning of September. I remember in California, we used to start after Labor Day.
We did too in Chicago.
Did y'all? Okay.
Yes.
And now these kids, they got my kids started back in August, which I'm cool with.
Because they get out
as a
early.
parent. Because I'm like, all right, it's time for y'all to go.
Yes.
So I was totally fine with that. So now we just got progress reports.
Already?
Yes. I think it's 6 weeks?
It's been 6 weeks.
So
you're not my season anymore, so I don't keep up.
My kids, they're doing really well.
That is excellent.
Marvin, he got all A's and a B. LJ had mixed. I think he had 2 B's, an A, and 2 C's, something like that. Which for him, the ones that he has a C's in, we have a tutor that comes in to help with that, because the dyslexia situation, and it's a lot that goes into that, and so we're honing in on all those things. Thank God that we've been able to have the resources to do that, because it ain't cheap. It's like hiring a personal trainer.
Ooh.
It's literally like hiring a person. So all that's why I ain't at the gym. No, that's not why.
Well, that's on another episode. We will be talking about being flexible and fit.
Exactly.
And in my case, fluffy.
Hey, but you are agile. Remember that?
Professionally and personally.
But the interesting thing was the other week, LJ came home. I think it was last week. And every night I read to them.
Oh.
It's since they were babies. It was like bath, book, bed. That's our routine. And so I still do that, to this day. So, to this day.
Now, do you have them read to you sometimes?
Yes.
Okay.
So they have to read every day anyway.
As a assignment.
Like 20, 30 minutes a day, just as a habit, right? But at night, that's kind of our thing. I usually read Bible stories.
Oh,
so just to keep them, grounded. And so LJ said, "Oh, Mom, we had a substitute today." And I was like, "Okay." And I wasn't even tripping. He was like, "She was black." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" Mind you, I don't think they don't have any black teachers at his school. And so I was like, "Really? How was that?" Right? He was like, "It was cool." And I was like, "Were the kids still acting up and stuff?" He was like, a little bit. Because they just gonna act up anyway when your teacher not there. And so, it kind of made me think back to when we talk about how we grew up and how you had a whole different experience than me. I didn't have
my yearbook, remember?
Yes, and I was like, this looks like
through the pages.
She went to basically a segregated school.
I did, and I did not even know.
You might as well be 1957. Seriously, I'm like, I did not have any. I told you the black teacher we had was our dance teacher. Afro-Haitian dance and modern dance and stuff, but we didn't have any black teachers really. We had some counselors. It was people in there, but it just not like what I saw
I had at least, I would say, well over 50% of my teachers were black.
Wow.
From kindergarten all the way up to high school.
Wow.
Literally. Like, that was a norm. So, like, what you said about segregation, I didn't know that Chicago was so segregated until I became older and understood, okay, that's segregation.
You were at an HBCU.
Pretty much.
High school.
I was. And elementary.
Dang.
Black excellence,
so,
right before the hashtag.
And I think that we need to be, I don't know. So, we'll get into that. But when I was in school, it was very diverse where I lived. My best friend in kindergarten was white.
Wow.
But our classes were very diverse. The neighborhood that I lived in was like black and Mexican, typical of any, probably hood in the West Coast,
urban.
On the coasts, near Mexico. Yes. You're going to be where, because that's just the population, right? And the urban, area. But I went to school out of district every school I went to. Every single school, meaning the schools I was supposed to go to that was in my neighborhood, I didn't go to. I went to a little bit outside. Well, my mom, it was the environment, the schools, what was in the schools. First of all, our school districts weren't that great overall, but each school that I went to outside, when you go outside of the hood, the quality of the schools are better. More resources are going into the schools and all that kind of stuff. So, obviously, I didn't know none of that. But I had to catch a bus, to get to school. I was on
not a yellow bus.
Public transit.
Public transit.
Yeah, public transit at 7. So
I cannot believe that.
My kids would be so lost. They would be balled up. LJ be balled up somewhere and looking like, help me, somebody, where I'm going.
Well, I told you I took Miss Mayberry to Chicago for a business trip, remember?
Yes.
And I took her on the south side. So we rode the red line, which is the black. We went south. So anything going south pretty much is what? African American.
You had to cross the railroad tracks?
Yeah, Martin Luther King, that way.
Why is Martin Luther King always in the hood?
I don't know.
That's when you be like, okay, what street am I on? Where am I? Any city in America.
Any city. Just show me where Malcolm X is.
Malcolm X is...
Because they're going to have some good fried chicken.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is you know where you are. If you see a Malcolm X, you really know where you are. Because everywhere don't have a Malcolm X. But everywhere got a Martin Luther King.
That is true.
Because they're like, oh, you really, this is the other layer of the...
You're
right. But that is where the best food is.
And so we rode the train and the bus, and for her, she was like, oh my God, these little girls are on the bus.
Little kids.
Yes. And when I tell you that vocabulary was better than mine, I was taking notes like, okay, she said that curse word. All right, that's how I use it.
See?
And so Kiara, the whole time, her eyes were just buck. I'm like, this would have been you.
This is real life.
This could have been you if I would have moved out of Chicago.
Real
or lived into
life.
a suburb.
Because I had to learn how to navigate the black neighborhood. And I think Ta-Nehisi Coates has a book called Between the World and Me, where it's like a conversation between him and his 15-year-old son, I believe. And he's basically talking about the black experience and like protecting our bodies. Like when you're in the hood, you got to protect your body because you're, in that area, survival is kind of, that's important. You might have to fight or do all this stuff. And then when you're in the world, we also are protecting our bodies because so many people take advantage of, So anyway, that's pretty much what happened. It was like I learned how to walk down the street and be around like homeless people or people who were, aggressive, like men, all that kind of stuff where you on the bus with grown-ups. So I would be sitting right there by the bus driver, like not wanting to be I've had times where people were bothering me or doing stuff and I had to, you just had to build up your toughness pretty much.
And your confidence because you couldn't look weak. And I'll tell you, have you ever had a fight?
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple.
I don't think I've had multiple,
but
I at least had, I did get suspended off the bus.
What did you get suspended for? Was it a fight?
I think it was. I can't remember, but no, I did get suspended off the bus. Then I had a fight on the public school bus with a boy.
My last fight was with a boy.
He kicked me in the back, and I was like, "Oh, it's over with."
So he kicked you in your back. The boy hit me on my back with the. You know how they used to put the signs, like put a sign. Kick me?
Oh yeah.
But he was putting the sign on and hit me, and I just
lost it.
Went crazy.
all my life I had to fight.
I was like, oh, hell no.
But you're right. Like, going back to this Chicago trip, it was a true experience for her because I don't know that she hadn't been back to Chicago maybe since we left. So we're walking downtown. There are a lot of homeless people. And so she's just looking nervous. I'm like, look, you need to get your RDF face on, right? Stop.
But she does not know.
She's walking around looking like Miss Mary.
Looking like a tourist.
Yeah.
She got a little fanny pack out.
And she's like, da-da-da-da-da, we're going to see Hamilton. Yeah, no. While we're walking, I need you to keep the pace, and I need you to be aware of your surroundings. And take out those ear pods so you can hear what's going on.
But see, that comes from
experience.
Having to do that. Like, for me, I remember, this might be off topic, I don't know. But it's still, walking in the mall. Okay, there would be like groups of guys. People would hang out at the mall, right?
Yeah, we did that.
And you have the groups of guys, and they'd be looking like just a
Meat
pack
market.
of wolves,
Yep.
you know, right? And imagine walking down the mall, and there's just guys they just looking at you like, you know, waiting on you to approach. And it's like, what do you? I used to be kind of like shrinking down a little bit, you know, and you're trying to just stay quiet and hey, hi. And they'd be like, how you doing? You got a boyfriend? You be like, yeah, I got a boyfriend. You know, be lying and stuff.
No, you don't have one.
Can you have friends? You know, it's going to keep going on and on until you just be like, forget it, or give them a fake number or something like that. And then there was a point that...
Before they could call it on the cell phone to test it.
Well, yes. But it wasn't that far away from there, because I remember somebody did that to me one time, and it was the worst. I was like, oh, Lord. Like, literally right there. I'm like, dang it. The drug dealers had phones first. So they did. And so there was a point where I just got fed up, I think, of that experience. Like, I'm not no victim. Like, you're not just about to be coming at me like this.
Right.
Like, I think something just clicked, and I said, the next time I'm in the mall and that happens, I'm going to beat them to the punch.
So what did you do?
So this is what I do. And I still would do this to this day, if that was the situation. And I taught my little cousins how to do this. It works. It's like flawless. 9 times out of 10, I'll say, because you got these randoms that they just gonna make it. So when I would see the group, I'm like, okay, I'm focused on them. I'm looking right at them, just like they looking at me. So before the first person can say anything, how y'all doing? Look at them right now.
You say
how y'all doing? And look at all of them. Look at every last. They be like, because in their whole, the power is in them coming for you, right? But when you flip it on them, it's like,
yep, I've done it.
I'm confused. Like, it take them off guard, right? And I'm like, how y'all doing? All right, as I'm continuing to walk, y'all have a good day.
Yep.
Like,
I do the same thing.
You know what I'm saying? So then it was like, I promise you, 9 times out of 10.
It worked.
It worked. And then you got the one that just, every boom boom come out. And I just started being confident in what I was doing. You know, I'm like, I'm not a victim. You're not going to do me this way. And then if I don't want to give someone my number, I say, hey, you know what? Out of respect, because you can't talk crazy or it can be a whole nother problem. Yep. And so I'll be like, look, I'll take the guy away from like where their friends are, because when you reject somebody in front of their friends, it's a whole other thing. And I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you know, they'll be like, can I give you my number? I'm like, you can give it to me, but I probably won't call, and I don't want to. I'm for real. I'll be like, I probably won't call, and I'm not trying to be rude, and I don't want to give you a fake number. Like that's disrespectful. And it'll be like, they will always respect that, always. And I keep that philosophy in 2019.
To this day.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a difference. I would say my experience here versus Chicago. I was just there this past week or so. So I'm walking down the street and I'm eating my Garrett's popcorn.
Dang it, I should have told you to bring something.
I know, I should have.
It's always a hassle. I know everybody asks.
Somebody asked me to bring a frozen pizza on the plane. I was like,
that's too much work.
Yeah.
And carry on.
I'm good if I can remember my laptop. So I'm walking, I'm eating. He was like, hey, Queen, can I get some popcorn? I was like, yep, come on. Now, Kiara probably would have been like, oh my gosh.
I'm scared.
He just asked me for popcorn. What should I do?
Right.
You know, and I'm sizing him up. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm walking on the street with all these different people. They're not going to pull anything. And I just think her experience is just way different from mine. And I also was like, do men in Texas do that?
What?
just
like cat
hey
call?
queen, how you doing?
Like kind of that's kind of a catcalling-ish.
Yeah, I feel like it's different in urban cities like Chicago and Cali. Like they have more.
They're
boldness.
way more aggressive. In California.
They're way more bolder in Chicago than they are.
They'll let you know if they're interested as soon as you walk in the room.
Yep.
Literally, because they know all the other men are also aggressive.
Yes.
So they not out here. You could be in there for a whole hour and the dude just be staring at you for the whole time. And then when you get ready to leave, I was about to talk to you. No, you wasn't. I've been sitting here for an hour. You wasn't even.
I've been sitting here 2 hours.
And I'm good. But the dudes, as soon as you walk in, they try to claim from the beginning. So you got to have your game tight. But then you thinking about, like, when I think back with LJ with the, oh my God, we had a black teacher. It's like their experience is so different. And it reminds me of, like, you know, when they say that back in the day with, like, integration and stuff.
Yes.
You know, you were in the segregated schools. That was not that long ago. Let's be realistic. My mom was born in 1957, and that's when the what was it?
My dad was born in 1927. He was almost a slave.
27?
Yes, he could have been my granddad. I know, right? That's why I like him old.
That's why you got an old soul. That is really what I knew your dad was older, but I'm like, when you put the numbers to it, it's like
probably 5 years.
He could have been he could have been a child of, like a grandchild of a slave, probably. Huh?
Yeah. I don't know if my grandmother was a slave. She probably had to be. I don't know.
Interesting. And see, you don't even know.
Right. I don't know the history.
And that's, okay, we need to know our history. I think that's a lot of the problem with kind of where we are today and what we need. If we could just stay, we need to stay in power because our country has worked very hard to erase what's happened, which how really can you, right?
Yeah.
That we've talked on a previous episode about the 1619, but they've done a lot more episodes since then.
Yes.
And New York Times, they have a podcast, they have documents that they've been putting out, really just kind of revisiting our history. It's so much that I didn't even know half the stuff that we're doing right now today that is a result of Black people fighting for their rights, which in turn is why you got the women's rights and the LGBTQ plus rights and everybody else. It ain't just like, oh, it was just the civil rights. Civil rights movement was out of Black people saying, I am done with this. You know, like we are not trying to live like this and Jim Crow and all that. So knowing your history, it will help you, I think, empower us more to see like where we came from and what we can make happen. Like we really made that happen.
I know.
You know, Martin Luther King and all of that.
So, right, my dad came up again in that era of Martin Luther King, and he did share with me, he remembered when he came to Chicago for the march. Mm-hmm. So, I did get that history, but I know if I had known, I'm like, was my grandmother a slave? Had I known that, like, I have a different appreciation for education probably than Kiara or LJ.
Did you learn Black history in school?
I absolutely did.
But that's because you had Black teachers.
Yes. So, Black history was pretty much
every day.
And then keep in mind, my mother was a teacher as well. Now, she did not teach in predominantly African American communities.
Interesting.
Her community was suburban, and it was pretty much mixed and diverse, probably similar to yours. But I couldn't go to the school that she taught at. That was like, no.
It was not Black enough?
No, she just didn't want me there.
Right.
She was like...
Oh, well, she just didn't want you there.
Yeah, she wanted to protect me.
Okay.
Pretty much. She was like, I don't want her to experience school without, that's Miss Timms' daughter.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah, see, my mom, she put me in, tried to get me out of the school districts.
Okay.
She used to actually work, there was a point where she started working at the school district for the superintendent. She was like a secretary. And so she worked her magic. We talk about these white women who pay for their kids to go into certain colleges and stuff. And the lady who I went to jail because she used somebody else's address, my mom would have been in jail because I ain't never went to school in my district the whole time.
And so I don't know that we had districts. We had like magnet schools. Mm-hmm. So you had to apply. So I ended up at a magnet school. Okay. Yeah. So it wasn't like when I moved here, I was like, district. Because I was like, I'm going to move to Allen, but I want her to go to school out there. They were like,
you can't do that. Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, so she has to go to the school?
So y'all didn't have to have be in the boundaries of because that's how you get, like, the taxes pays for the school and stuff, right? I don't know how they do
taxes in Chicago. Corrupt. But you had a neighborhood school. But if you applied to a school, a magnet school, and you were accepted, you could go to a school outside of your region. Okay. And you didn't have to pay.
So your mom being a teacher probably helped a lot with just knowing knowing what was available. We didn't have that. You go where my sister went to the neighborhood schools.
Got it. Okay.
And then I think when she was in 5th or 6th grade, that's when she went to the other school that I went to the whole time. But it's still...
And I was bussed out of the community, and I didn't have to ride public transportation. Like, the yellow school bus would come in the neighborhood and pick up... You would have a bus stop for all the kids that may have lived in this 2-3 mile radius, right? And they would pick us up from that one bus stop.
The yellow bus, I had only middle school. And it was just me and this one boy. He still live out there, I think, where we used to live.
Oh, wow.
Every time I go home, I see him. But we were the only ones early in the morning that the bus would come. It just would come in this little corner and come pick us up. And that was it.
And take you
our middle school. Yeah, because it was out of district. But I don't know how they were able to, how we were still able to have a yellow bus. But I had a little bit of freedom for a little while. And then when I got to high school, it was back to I had to catch 3 buses to get to my high school. It was at the edge of the district, all the way almost into another school district. That's how far it was. And it was a lot more white. Okay. There were black kids there, but it was a lot more than others.
So my first experience of actually going to school with whites was college.
Dang. Interesting.
So I'm 18, 19. I've never been in a classroom with a white person.
You were in the segregated.
And it's funny you should say that because I'm thinking in my head, before I moved here, I'm like, oh, that's normal for blacks to go to school with the blacks, right? So I'm at the gym working out, and everybody's talking about, oh, I'm going to my high school class reunion, and someone brought up, certain people started looking older, and I was like, depends on how your life is, and sometimes certain ethnicities age older than others. And so she was like, yeah, people were looking old. And so I was like, well, I don't want to go to my class reunion. And I was like, I went to school with all blacks. She was like, what school did you go to?
Right.
And I was like, Chicago. And another girl from Detroit. She was like, I went to school with all blacks. So I'm like, that did me a disservice in a sense. Mm-hmm. I was able to figure out how to navigate and kind of integrate myself with whites.
I think you did great. Oh. You better than me. I went and I still didn't, because even when you do, you still gravitate towards your people.
You do.
You know what I mean? We had our section in high school, it's called the tables.
The tables?
It was these little picnic tables in this particular area that was our little area where we hung out. And within the school, it was segregated. There was a lot of intermingling and stuff like that. It wasn't it was like that. But it happens all the time. Just imagine what we were talking about at work. When you're at a place where there's not that many black people, and when y'all see each other in the break room, we were hey, hey friend, we're you know all the black people, because that's just something that happens.
We do naturally gravitate to people who look like us, right? And so, although I went to school with them, I didn't necessarily have to talk to them or work with them. So when I got into corporate America, that's when it was you all are going to be here working together. You're going to work on a project. You just need to team up. And so it was different, but two of my best friends, one is Hispanic and one is Polish. Mm-hmm. And we ditched work together and went to Six Flags. So I don't know. I wasn't taught that. I don't know how.
I think in college was where I actually started. So I was pretty popular in high school. So it pretty much, if you went to the school around a certain, amount of years, people knew me, whatever. I was just socially cool with people, but I wasn't going to people's house and all that kind of stuff. When I went to college, I integrated myself out of necessity, not because I'm let me just be super diverse. I wasn't even thinking like that. I think the Bay Area is a diverse place anyway, so you're going to be in class with people, you're going to be doing stuff, but we have projects. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna be over here because these kids are smarter in this subject area.
So
it wasn't about
you were
their
intentional.
race. Yeah, but I knew, like, for me, I can do the oral presentation. So not to be, but there would be a group, let's say we're in a math class, and there's a certain group of kids that don't want to do oral presentation, you know, right? They don't want to get up in front of class. They don't want to do the part where you got to present.
Right. They want to do the work.
I'll be like, I'll present because I don't know how to do the other stuff, right? So I'll be over here like, okay, y'all gonna do this, and then what's the parts that I need to
just summarize it for me
to pass classes and stuff, but not to just hang out. I don't know. I think it's something that you do have to be intentional about saying, I'm just literally connecting with it. Like now, I feel like I got way more natural friendships that are just coming out of interests and you're cool, you know, like let's go have lunch, and it's you got to be outside the box to really do that, you know?
And I don't know that everyone is, especially when you're raised in a segregated type of community. I know I'm looking at Facebook, a lot of my friends, I don't see them posting with non-blacks, right? And so when I went to work, I didn't look at them like, oh, they're not black, we can't hang out together. I'm like, oh, she's pretty cool, and I like tacos, and
exactly.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not know I didn't know about diversity until I started working in corporate America.
I don't think that word was even, I don't think we were like, were we even talking about like diversity?
I don't think so.
I don't know if we were talking about it, but
it was probably 2001 when I realized, okay, I heard the word, but then to really truly learn about diversity may have been 2005.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it just was something that when I moved here, it was 2006, and I remember like, you sure you want to move to Texas because they racist out there and stuff like that, and I was like, I don't go into a place looking for racism because I'm so used to being around so many different people. I'm like, I don't feel anything. You know, I just never felt that way. I was literally out of the country when I had my first racial experience when I went to Prague that time. I never, like, blatant. I know that it's systematic. There's a lot of things that do happen. But I just hadn't seen it in my face. I do think sometimes if we're looking for something to be a certain way, it can feel that way. But not all the time, you know, so I don't know, I think it's definitely different. But do you think, you know how some people will say they think that integration hurt black people, you know, as far as Black America? We had our own businesses, we had our own neighborhoods and places that we were sustaining ourselves. And once we wanted to be accepted by just be treated equal, it did make us kind of start diversifying our money and all that out of our communities. And what's your thoughts on like integration? Because like you basically went to segregated schools. Yeah. So now, in thinking about that experience, do you feel like you missed out on anything? Yes, or you had a better experience because you didn't have that, right?
So yes and no. So I'll give Kiara as an example, right? We moved here when she was about 8. So she had already gone to school for 2 years, really, because she was 8. So she was going to school from 3 all the way up until 8 in Chicago, even from daycare. All black children. We moved here. She was 2 of maybe 60. And maybe it was 1 in each class. And so that was a culture shock, not only for her, but me, because I was like, I don't even know how to help her. Because she did actually have an experience with racism in the elementary school. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do, how to respond. Like, do I call the teacher? Do I go blow up the school? What should I do? Right? Because I'm like, all I know is my daughter's hurt. Yes. And I've never had that. Like, going to school with all blacks.
You'd be like, who's your mama? Yeah. I need to talk. Bring your aunties, everybody up here because it's about to go down.
And you know what? Black kids, I mean, I'm not even going to say it's black children, but when you go to an all-black school, you're going to get talked about. Like,
you're going to get...
Yeah. Yes. Your nose is big.
You're getting it, period.
You're going to have some self-esteem, some grit. So that was totally different. She hadn't had that. And so now being here in Allen, I think about if she had gone to school in Chicago, she wouldn't know what she knows today because of the resources we have here.
Girl, these kids, my boys, both... Or they just gave the kids Chromebooks and stuff. I'm like, wait,
right? You
gonna get a real like they have, but that's them taxes that I was talking about.
So I see the benefits of integration, and I also see, I'm not gonna say it's a disadvantage, but I see the positive of maybe segregation, segregated schools. But I'm glad she had that experience. I would probably say that if anything, curriculum needs to change. Diversity and inclusion needs to start in the school system and not wait till we get to corporate America.
Yes, because I was going to say, I feel a disadvantage in, we didn't learn Black history in school. Yeah. We learned that Martin Luther King was a positive person who fought for rights for everyone and all that. And it's like, but let's talk about why he was fighting for those rights. We didn't learn about no Jim Crow laws and all that kind of stuff and why this was a problem. My dad had encyclopedias.
Ooh,
and he...
You all were rich.
We were really not. I don't know how. I'm going to have to ask him, how you get those encyclopedias? Because I probably don't want to know. But clearly he was into learning, and he showed me the slave ships and the bodies and all that. And, like, this is what happened. I learned that at home. I did not learn that in school. And I don't even remember at any point, even in high school, really learning the real about slavery in 1619 and, why slavery was needed, the cotton industry, the tobacco, all the real reasons, that happened. And we are America.
Yeah.
Real life, so I'm like, Black people, that's what I'm saying. I used to not feel like a true American sometimes because I'd be like, they don't want us.
Right.
Like they don't want us here. We're getting treated like this all the time. But in real life, when you learn the history, like, we are the backbone of everything that America is right now. The economy, how it was developed, things that you're seeing, people who are benefiting from Medicaid, music, everything that you see has a source that came back from us coming here. But you don't know that if you don't know your history.
So, speaking of that, so, of course, Kiara's going to this school. She had that experience. So, I was like, well, I don't think she's going to be able to learn well. Mm-hmm. Knowing that she's in a school that she's not welcomed. She's not feeling welcomed at all. Mm-hmm. And she literally ran home that day and was like, I don't want to ever go back to that school. So I let her finish out the school year, and I actually transferred her to a private school that was predominantly Black. Mm-hmm. It was probably one of the best things I could have ever done. She literally learned so much about her Black history in those short 2 years that she was there. They even took them on a civil rights tour.
Wow.
Through Alabama, Atlanta. They went through 3 different states, and they stopped at different schools, different landmarks.
They're not learning nothing like that in the public school.
She came back and told me, she said, Martin Luther King, his real name is not Martin. That is not on. I said, yes, it is. She was like, no, it isn't. She was like, his name was Michael. Mm-hmm. And I said, I didn't even know that. So she had a wonderful social studies teacher, I guess that's what they call it. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, Kiara knows a plethora of her Black history, and I really think that helps her.
In that 6 weeks that the boys went to Paul Quinn, mm-hmm. Martin was coming back telling me stuff, and I was like, okay, where you heard that at? He's like, oh, when we were we were in the school. But I want them to have diverse experiences. Like, yes, we're right here. Yes. Their school is across the street from my house. Like, they just walk across the street.
Beat that.
And that's it, right? Quality education as far as right, as far as resources that are available, classes they can take, and stuff like that. But I do supplement that they know that I'm like the pro-Black queen. So that's why LJ's like, ooh, I can't wait to tell my mom that we had a Black teacher. He knows what I kind of do all the time. He hears me on the phone. They hear the podcast. They know that I'm always like talking about the Black experience. I play the podcast 1619 for them.
Oh, good.
So they can hear,
I need the truth. That with Kiara.
I just think it's important to know that because as they're navigating these predominantly white spaces, until justice, I feel like that's when Jesus comes back. I just feel like we're going to always be trying to build this equality because it won't be in our lifetime, in my opinion, because I feel like it's so many generations of just... It's bigger, but that doesn't mean stop, right?
Right.
But I want them to know how to do that as they get older and to see stuff. Like, that's what this is. Know what that is. Know how to handle that and all that. Some people try to shelter their kids and be like, everybody just kumbaya. Everyone, love everyone. Yes, love everyone.
Yes. But
know that everybody don't love you.
Correct.
So when that happens, it ain't a reflection of you. It's a reflection of them.
Yes.
And so that's kind of what I try to teach them. as far as this stuff is concerned.
And just like you said, our history goes deep.
It does.
We did a little research. So you talked about 1619. We have 1865, which is when slavery was abolished, right?
Right.
Then we have 1954, Brown versus Board of Education.
Yes.
And then in 1957, we had the Little Rock Nine. And then in 1960, we had Ruby Bridges. So, like, that
wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And then think about, while all that's going on, it was just so much. Okay, so we keep talking about the 1619 thing, but like I think a lot of us don't want to look back on things because we're like, it's gonna make me mad, and it will. But it also, it just kind of brings it to reality, because it's certain black people that I talk to and they be like, people need to quit complaining about that, and it makes me mad. I get mad at some of us who have you were brought up in the same educational system that they brought me up in, and other of us in that has erased a lot of that history. So you're thinking, that was 400 years ago. No. You need to come back and learn the rest, because it's not just the day that the slaves came. It was the 1960s and all the those laws and all that are still to this day affecting us.
Yeah.
And
I would say, while integration is great, I find a lot of my friends, their kids, they just know Rosa Parks if they know her.
Right.
And there were so many other people before her. So, like, for instance, when I'm going to school, every Black History Month, not only did we have a program, but we had to do a report, like a serious report of this person, and then get up and give a presentation. So we were constantly learning about everyone, not just Rosa Parks or Martin Luther King. We learned about Crispus Attucks, Benjamin Banneker. And I bet you if you bring up some of those people, they don't know who they are.
And it's up to us, because we're not being taught that in the school system, to educate ourselves.
Yep.
And maybe if you have kids, educating your kids at the same time as you're educating yourself. Just go look up some stuff.
Yeah,
go
to the library.
To the library.
Yes.
Go just check out a book every month or something and just
make a trip to the your local museum, or make a trip to DC.
Yes. Most cities, well, I'm not going to say most cities, I don't know.
I know that major metropolitan.
Because like in Richmond, we had a museum. There's a lot of places that you can go to in your local area that have like an African American museum or whatever. I don't know if they got that in like Idaho and stuff like that. But like you said, most metropolitan. But if you can go to DC, I was out there. I was on that at that museum for about 4.5 hours. The only reason I left, I still didn't get to see I've covered a lot of bases, but I didn't still get to see all the stuff, and my feet were hurting. That's the only reason why. And I had tennis shoes on. 4.5 hours of walking, and I was still like, dang, it's more I want to see, because it's so much. So that's it really
is. So I went for 4 hours one day, and I pimped this other lady out of her ticket for the next day, and I went back again to finish. So you really need either full 8 hours or 2 days.
Yeah, because I went on my day before I was about to leave. When they take you downstairs, and they basically bring you through history.
Yes.
So they talk about when the ships came, going down. I think they even went back to like 1400s to talk about like how we got here, all that stuff, and it just.
I feel like I want to go back again. Like that is something that you don't just go to once.
It really takes you through. I feel like you need to have that emotional connection to the history.
Yes.
To really just get your mind together on how to live this life, because we are fighting a fight every day, and I feel like as Black people we've always kind of had to accommodate, but I think it's okay to be a bold Black girl, to be proud to be Black, to be pro-Black, because everybody else
we don't love others.
It's not anti. It doesn't mean I'm anti this, or I don't know. They used to make it like Afrocentrism is negative back in the day. I remember that was like a term. They were like, Afrocentric, that means you're anti, diversity. That's not true. Every other culture can learn about their culture.
Yep.
You can go here, heritage and all that stuff. But if we start being like, well, we want to focus on Black women, people, why not all women? Well, all women have their stuff already. Like, we don't get that much of a chance to like focus on our specific needs, which we do have. And I think we need to do that just overall as Black people.
I agree. And not just wait till February to do it either.
No, like every day.
Yep.
That should be a part of our daily, just kind of walk and learn.
Did you know, I actually think that their Twitter page tweets out like a daily Black History fact. The
1619?
The museum. So the Smithsonian.
I don't think I'm following them. You know, I'm still kind of new to Twitter, so I get a little bit of communication, but, you know, yeah. We got to learn our history, y'all.
We really do.
That's the bottom line. Because I think that everybody has a different experience. We have totally different experiences. How we kind of got into, like, with even just our childhood, you know, with the schools and all that, catching the bus and all that. It's a different experience. So what we can all see is the history thread that got us into those places. Right. How my family ended up where they ended up, how your family ended in Chicago. The Great Migration. You know, that's how my grandparents on both sides ended up in Richmond. That was where the jobs were at the time, after the war and all that kind of stuff. So knowing your history is important.
People don't even know about the Great Migration.
I know.
I need to ask Karen if she knows about the Great Migration.
And I don't know. I got so much that I still need to know. And I'm just starting to be more active on learning it, especially with me raising kids. It's making me do more to actively teach them because I know they're not learning it. Especially Black History Month makes me mad every year.
I know.
I'm like, here y'all come with the Martin Luther King little piece of paper, or, you know.
Yeah. But like you said, it's up to us.
It is up to.
I mean, we have the resources now, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to actively seek the information. And don't, because I'm about to get on the soapbox for a second. Yeah, don't get on the soapbox.
Don't we need to have a growth mindset.
Yes.
Okay? And that comes with each other. We give each other a hard time. You know, we'll look at somebody in the hood or whatever because you didn't went to school and got your, why don't you just do this? Hold on a second. Yeah. Like, before you go there, let's figure out how that person got there, where their mindset. Someone was, I got into a little debate with someone about education. They were like, we're the only ones that don't have a father in the home, and most Black fathers that aren't in their kids' life. I'm like, well, statistically, Black fathers, whether they're in the home, living in the home or not, a lot of them are actually actively involved in their kids' life more so. Mm-hmm. So they were like trying to tie that to why some Black kids weren't doing well in school and all this. And I'm like, well, don't just throw random numbers or random statements out there because that may not be the cause and effect. That could just be a part of the story. But what if the parents had not been educated and they feel shame and they don't know how to help their kids in school? Yeah. What if they can't afford a tutor to come in and, you know, that stuff ain't cheap and I'm not even working a full-time job. Right. It's a sacrifice, you know, and what if, you know, there's just a lot of other factors.
Of what ifs and things that you need to
kids that aren't being diagnosed with learning differences. It's so much to it to where even with me, I told Kim, I had to tell Elgie, I'm like, you need to go ask your teacher for help on this homework because I don't know how to help you with it.
At least you were honest, okay?
This 5th grade math,
that new math.
When it came to the multiplication, the division, fraction, I was like, I'm in here with you. I got that. Decimals, we on there.
Right.
But then they got these little blocks, and what does this represent? I don't know. We didn't have that.
Child, let me just tell you, I'm so glad that is not my season anymore. I could not imagine.
But some parents may feel ashamed of not knowing, thinking they're supposed to know that.
That's
not
true.
knowing. This ain't the math that we learned in school. I talked to his teacher about it. And she was like, I know, I had to teach myself before I taught them. Well, why you ain't preparing us? We don't know this stuff.
Prepare the parents.
You know, so there's a lot of flaws there. But if you're not communicating that, or there's some shame, or, you know, they might be battling their own self-esteem stuff to why they can't help their kids. We should not be beating each other up. We need to figure out how we can help each other instead of, you know, putting people down because you just don't understand their situation.
Well, and it goes to you can't be what you don't see. So perhaps they didn't see anyone successful that looked like them, so they don't know that they can be that person.
I mentioned being intimidated to a certain degree when I was coming up of friends who went to like HBCUs and joined sororities and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't even know nothing about that. I didn't have anybody that went to, you know, that was in a sorority in my family, you know, and stuff like that. So they might have grew up doing Jack and Jill, and their mom might be a Link, and all, you know, all these different kind of networks that help prepare you with that stuff and teach you a lot of this stuff.
Everybody didn't have that.
I know. You know, I learned it on accident. Yep. And so I just feel like because of my situation, I'm like, my daddy wasn't at home. My parents didn't help me with homework. However, I got 2 degrees. You know what I'm saying? So it's not this is why that happened, because I'm a prime example of someone who didn't have any of that, and I still was able to make it through. I'm still trying to, get my
right. And I think we touched on that on an episode. Like, to me, just because you have a 2-parent home doesn't mean that child's going to be successful,
and vice versa.
Yeah,
it's just we can't keep putting each other in the boxes.
We can't. Because my daughter was brought up in a single parent home, and I think she's doing okay.
She's doing great.
So we have to stop judging a book by its cover. I tell people all the time. I learned that lesson quick. And people look at me, and they're like, "Oh, she's fluffy," but I can walk circles around a skinny person.
She can outrace you. She will do some splits on your butt real quick. I feel like,
and a flip,
girl. I can't do none of that.
And not even just physically, like, people underestimate you. Like, I've gotten, oh, wow, I've heard you on a conference call. I didn't know you were that articulate. And then my email address is misarticulate.
I know. I told her, can you change your email address?
I've had that email address before.
Misarticulate.
I think I was 15 when I made that up. I was like, I think I'm well versed. Let me look in the thesaurus, because my mother was a teacher. So she brought the thesaurus, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go find a word. Yep. I like articulate. That's going to be my email address.
And then it's like now when someone, oh my God, you're so articulate. But don't call me articulate.
Right.
But yeah, I think we gotta give ourselves a break. Sometimes you gotta be humble before you can get. Yes. Because it's necessary. We all need it in some area. Yeah. And you'll be the main one talking about, I'm not going to be like this. And then your kid come out with a learning difference. And you wonder why, now you struggling just as hard, with trying to help your kid with stuff and not understanding why and all that. It's not an A plus B equals C. We all live in a life that's different. And so we can't do that. You don't want nobody to do it to us. We don't want them to racially profile us and do this. And so we need to really take care of each other better. I think we need to do that. And that's why I feel like with the black women, it's like, we need someone to take care of us. We need to take care of each other.
Yeah, we do.
We take care of everybody else.
Help each other. Like, literally a sisterhood in a village.
Yes.
It really does. So, yet again, we have another story of where we're different but alike. Her experience was way different than mine. She just reminded me I grew up in segregation. Maybe that's why I was outrunning people, because I'm always been running all my life. I had to run all my life. All my life. So,
what's the call to action?
The call to action, I would say, is exposure and experience.
Yes.
Right?
Go to some museums, read some books, and just do some different stuff.
Do something different.
Learn about where you are, where you came from, who you are, all that good stuff.
I started taking up golf, right? We didn't have golf in my segregated school.
We didn't have it in my school, but I golfed since I was 4.
Right. And then, so when I started golfing, I started thinking, okay, well, who was the first black golfer? I was like, I need to go research that. That's what came to my mind. Like, what's the history behind that?
See? My grandfather was a golfer. He taught my dad, this is my mom's dad, taught my dad how to golf. As he was dating my mom.
That's how he learned. Okay.
He learned how to golf from my dad. And to this day, like his little golf group that he goes with, he just had a golf tournament yesterday. He does a golf tournament every year that he puts on for charity, giving money to homeless families in the neighborhood. He's like a community activist.
I love it.
Guy. And so
activist Aries.
He still like calls my grandfather name out, like when they do certain shots and stuff. He's like, that's a Leroy Jackson right there. So that's the legacy. But when I was 4 years old, my dad would take me out to putt, and we would just hit in the grass. Martin Luther King Elementary School was across the street from his house, and we would go right over there and just hit balls. He cut some golf clubs to size, and I would learn how to swing. And when I got about 13, I stopped because it wasn't cool back then. Tiger Woods wasn't popping yet. But then I recently started back just because now the boys are golfing. So exposure.
Absolutely. And I'm going to shout out one of my great non-black friends, Lori. I intentionally have lunch with people who don't look like me. And I genuinely like her, right? Yes. I call her my chocolate sister. My white chocolate sister.
Right.
She gifted me a golf bag. And some pink golf balls.
Oh, I got pink golf balls too. We're gonna have to.
So I told Lori, I said, let's go out on the green. So maybe we'll have to make a date.
Yes, and I think what we're gonna do some stuff. We got some ideas for those who are local. And hey, if you know somebody that want to bring us to where y'all are, we'll come there too.
Yes.
And put some stuff together. But we're trying to come up with some different experiences that we think will be pretty fun. That'll expose us to different stuff.
Yep.
You know, we don't have to do brunch all the time. We're trying to, you know,
brunch is
stay
not good
together.
for my waist.
It is. Those mimosas is what give me. So anyway, so that's the call to action. Don't forget to rate. Okay, y'all. Every week I'm saying rate and review. Rate and review. I know y'all listening because I can see how many people listen to the podcast. I'm like obsessive about analytics.
She is.
And so
she's like Miss Data Analytics.
Please go, like, just write 3 words, 4 words, say something. It helps us in the podcast world. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, you know, like, comment, all that good stuff. We got like a handful of followers.
But we do
but we're not tripping off of that.
Listening.
Yes, we do. I'm like, I want us to continue, you know, doing this and hit us up so that we can know what y'all want us to talk about, so we can come up with some new topics for next year and all that good stuff. So that's all we got. Huh?
Yeah, that was a handful.
It was.
So we hope you enjoyed this podcast.
We do.
And we wish you a bold week as we conclude this podcast.
All right, you guys have a good rest of your day.